Tori karakia tia o mai raroto I te po e kona titiro atu ai ora mate e au koe no ai whakaria mai tori pekaki au tia o mai raroto I te po e kona titiro atu ai ora mate hei au koe no ai whakaria mai tori pekaki au tia o mai raroto I te po e kona au titiro atu ai ora mate hei au koe no ai whakaria mai tori pekaki au tia o mai raroto I te po e kona titiro atu ai ora mate hei au koe no ai ora mate hei au koe no
Thank you, Heather. Sorry. Heather, if you could unmute yourself.
Sorry, aroha mai. E te atua e te ori nei nā manu, e whiti nei pera, e ara nei te tanaka, e kore nei te tinana, e hihiko nei te wairua. Paua ki roto ki a mātou te whakaro nui, me tō whakaro pai. Kia mura ai te ahika o tō wairua tapu, kia rite ki te ihi o te rā. Māoria ora e te karaiki, te kura hautu, o tō mātou kura ti waka. Āmene.
Āmene. Les.
E te whānau, kua tae mai nei, aere mai, nāmu mai, whakatau mai rā. Te mea tua tahi, ki te atua kaha rawa. Te ka homai, o nā me katoa. Te mea tua rua ki a tātou katoa. Ki te nā, hui hui nā, te kaupapa, Taha Māori, no reira, piki mai, take mai, tēnā tātou katoa.
E hara I te mea nona ia nei Te aroha no ngā tupuna I tuku iho I tuku iho Te whenua, te oranga o te iwi nonga tupuna I tuku iho, I tuku iho. Whakapono tumanako te aroha no ngā tupuna I tuku iho, I tuku iho, I tuku iho, I tuku iho.
He mihi kau ngā kia koutou. Tātou hoki e noho pai ana, kei wanganui te mahanatanga. A o tātou whānau huri noa, me mihi hoki kia tātou. E mihi ana hei tia ki ngā taonga tuku iho. Hei oranga mō ngā uri whakatupu. Me hoki mahara ki ngā tina aitua rātou kua haere. Kei te tini ki te mano, ngā reira haere, haere atu rā. Rātou kia rātou, tātou kia tātou. Hei oi anō. Tēnā koutou, tēnā mai anō.
E te atua, tō mātou kaihana. Ka te aho te māramatanga me te ora. I au kupu kōrero. Ka tīmata au mahi. Ka mau te tika me te aroha. mea tia kia tonu kia mātou. Tō aroha I roto I tēnei huihuinga. Whakaki a mātou whāro a mātou mahi katoa e tō wairua tapu. Āmine. Tēnā koutou katoa. Nau mai hoki mai. Welcome back. Ki tā tātou kaupapa Taha Māori. If you're getting a little bit of echoing, aroha mai. My laptop camera is playing up a little bit, so I've got two devices going, and you might be hearing one or the other. But it's nice to be with you again. We managed to get through the hiccup. There ain't no mountain high enough that we can't climb. And so we've got around the problem of my laptop by introducing another device. But of course, that does create echo problems of its own. My disclaimer is per usual. I won't go through it. You already know what it is. For those who are new to the program, you've probably had a little bit of time just to read through that slide about the kaupapa. Kia ora mai tātou. Here we are again, round 3 in this June session.
Just Cynthia, we don't have a visual of you. Just,
at all?
No, just wondering whether something had happened or that's just the way we're going to roll today.
I've got a visual.
Oh, have you? Oh, okay. Okay, carry on.
So you can see me in person?
Yes, I can see you.
Jacinthia, there are 2 cameras in your name, so I can see you in one.
That's right.
Yes.
And it's slowly getting worse. I can hear it echoing and feeding back.
Yeah, I tried to switch off one of them.
So
Otherwise,
one is me standing in the Selwyn Chapel at the cathedral. That's the one that's got the slide on, and the other one is me in person, which is my phone.
The one with the Selwyn Chapel picture, if you can mute the microphone and the speaker in that and stick to the one you are talking to, then the echo will not happen.
Yeah, we tried that. We tried that earlier and there was too much feedback. So, aroha mai, everybody. I think we just have to roll with what we've got at the moment. I do apologize. We didn't have time for IT to come in and find out what was the problem with my laptop. But my laptop, I mean, I could actually roll without my phone and you wouldn't have a visual of me at all, only me standing in the Selwyn Chapel. But it's quite nice to see my smiling face and the sun is basking on it this morning. It's wonderful.
I can live with it. I can live with it.
You can live with it.
I'm happy to
Thank
go
you.
ahead. Well, I haven't got your face. I haven't got your face.
Oh, it's a bit tricky. But some are and some aren't. So it's probably about how you're viewing it in those little boxes above all the faces. Anyway, we'll press on. I do want to play this one again because we're putting a little emphasis on our pronunciation of our vowels. We're going to try something a little different today. And I thank those volunteers who have opened us up this morning. Certainly the reo is getting better and better and better. And the only way, and I say it again, to improve is you actually need to do it. You need to say it over and over again. So I'll just bring back Ihu Mata.
Ki mai Māori, ki mai ki mai ki mai ki mai Māori, ki mai Ki mai Maori.
Ki mai i, ki mai i, ki mai i, ki mai Māori, ki mai ki mai o, ki mai o. Ki mai Māori, ki mai ki mai ki mai
Ki mai Maori.
ki mai
Do practice that with your grandchildren, with your children, with your friends. Get them up. Get them up to say ki mai Māori a. Ki mai Māori e. Ki mai Māori i. Ki mai Māori o. Ki mai Māori u. I love that clip. So this week we're going to look at, let's put a bit of brightness on our a, e, o, u. And as we are in Matariki season, and Matariki has officially started, Matariki signals the Māori New Year. It is a time of renewal and celebration. It is a great time to reflect, reset, and look forward, look ahead. Time to reflect on the past, be present in the now, reset and plan. Wonderful. So Matariki, we have a maramataka. We have the stars, of course, and we went through some of them last week so that we could get our tongue around some of those vowel sounds. We didn't do them all, but we have covered quite a few of them. So in this session this morning, I'd like us to look at all the nights of the month. So the new moon, of course, started on the 10th of June, the lunar month, which lasts 29.5 days. Rather than referring to the days of the month, Māori spoke of nights, lunar. Generally, whiro is the first night and mutu whenua is the last. So we're coming to the next slide is about, I think, yes. These are all the moons, starting with whiro. Now, because my computer and everything is not running to optimum capacity this morning, I'm unable to see all your who's actually participating today. But I'd like us to start putting to practice what you've learned in your vowel sounds and your pronunciation, and this is throwing you right in the deep end. And I think it'll be a good exercise for us to come out, unmute yourself, and somebody have a go at saying these moons. You don't need to say the English bit. All you need to do is say the moons. Just remember that no macrons is very short and sharp. Macrons have got that longer sound. And the one in particular on this page is the fourth one down. Now there's that combination. O ue nuku. O ue nuku. So we're going to test, don't be shy, don't get paralysis. I invite you to unmute yourself. You don't need to wave your hand. And if you feel you would like to say one of those moons, if we just do them one at a time going down to the bottom, there are a lot of them. This is only one page. Please start.
Whiro.
Okay. Whiro. Kia ora.
Tiria.
Tirie. Tiria. Tiria.
Tiria.
Waiata.
Waiata.
O Anuku.
Lovely.
Okoro.
Ororo.
Tamatia nana.
Tamatia kai ariki.
Una.
Ariroa.
Maori. Mafaru. Ohua.
Otu.
Atawa.
Turu.
Turu.
Pākaunui.
Akanui.
Rakau Makauhi.
Takiro.
Takiro. Oike.
Okay.
Kore ti fia.
Kore te rawia.
Kore hahanui. Tangaroa matadua.
Andara.
Tangaroa kyoko.
Otana.
Orongonui.
Mo.
Umutu.
Well done. Gee, you fellas did really well. Some of those were a little tricky, eh? What was there was one back here. That second to last one. Oike. Oike. Yeah. So I mean, even I have to sort of say it a few times. Oike. Because there's no macron, so here I am trying to emphasize the I, but actually the I, which is the sound E, I'm actually finding myself saying it automatically with a macron, but actually it isn't. It's oike.
Oiki.
Oike. Koinonia. I think if we are familiar with the word koinonia, which is part of our theology, that's that oi. Koinonia. Oike.
Okay.
The other one that was tricky, of course, was that o ue nuku. Gee, neat, all right. And that last one, that maude. And on the last page, you saw maudi, which has got an I on the end instead of an E. So there's a distinct difference. And I guess that's one way of emphasizing that if you say maudi, it's a different word to maude. So if you're wanting people to understand what you're saying, if you get your that E instead of E, and I know it's tricky. The I and the E in Māori is just does everyone's head in. I know, because the E, the English E is E, and the English I is E. Just to, make it tricky for you. You want to have another go? Why not?
Tiro. Hirea.
Waiata.
Oenuku.
Oenuku.
Tamatia kai ariki.
Una.
Ariroa.
Maori.
So if any of you are out on those moon nights, could you please drop me in an eel I'm at the tuia of Te Merewe, please. Anybody out there on Uenuku, Okoro, or Ariroa, please?
Come over
via
and go
the
Ealing.
office.
Come over and go Ealing over here.
Ooh, lovely.
Maparu.
Otu.
Atua.
Uru.
Rakonui. Rako.
Hoki.
Takiro. Wiki.
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 Wiki. Kore te whiwhia.
Fabulous. Uike. Okay.
Okay.
And likewise on Mawharu, if you're out and about Mawharu, please come via the tuia office in Merewe.
Kore te rawia.
Kore te hahane. Hahane.
Tangaroa a mu.
Tangaroa a roto.
Tangaroa kio kio.
Kio. O tāne.
O rongonui.
Ma.
O mutu.
Mutu whenua.
Mutu whenua. Yes. Yes. So o tāne, o rongonui, yeah. We'll head over to Gillian's place and we'll go and collect some kaimoa for us. Wonderful. That inanga. We need to catch them before they fly away, or before they swim away. So you need to get out there on Otane, go for some eels, and if you're lucky, before the whitebait migrate, you'll get some of them too. Kapai, koutou katoa. Wonderful. I'd like us actually now, would you mind, if it's okay with you, how about we break into 3 groups, maybe, or however many Megan has set up. You'll know when you get there. There are 3 rooms. Margaret is a facilitator, Kay, and Gillian, and thank you for volunteering to do that. Just, if you wouldn't mind just having a little chat about the pronunciations. How do you feel you're going at this point in time? Some of you have been with me for quite some time. Some of you have been with me for 9 weeks. And some have just been with us in a short time. And Matariki, an insight that you might have on Matariki. Would be a lovely feedback from you. No reire te whānau. Haere rā. Oh no, mai hoki mai. Thank you for participating in your discussions. And I know 10 minutes is never enough time. But I do want to say, I mean, given that we're talking about pronunciation, I do have to say that, you know, wow. I just warm and fuzzy. I really am. I'm just warm and fuzzy, and I think it's really great. Okay, now shall we start with Margaret?
Okay, just as a start, we had significant sound problems with a very strong echo, to the point where I don't think we heard everything that the other participants were saying. we all struggled. Anyway, what we did come up with was on pronunciation. The emphasis on practice is the first thing, and mastering those vowels, as you have reminded us many times. Someone suggested singing was really helpful, and indeed it is, and a good way of getting, remembering things. And then moving on to the Matariki, just it was interesting that fishing and days for fishing featured so strongly, and that was of interest to us. And also a feeling that the official recognition of Matariki can only improve, sort of raise the profile of Matariki and among the general population. So that's more or less the summary of what we talked about.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, the singing of it, yeah, I agree. And it's a chanting too. I think my observation in tikanga Pākehā parishes or churches or services, when I went along, they were able to chant the Lord's Prayer quite easily, actually, I noted. And I noted that many actually didn't need their book anymore. However, if you took their book, if you asked them to say it rather than chant it, that's when it starts to become a struggle. And I'm not by any means judging. I'm just saying the difference between singing and saying. So if it was a prayer and you chanted it, I guess you would also have to learn how to say it as well, particularly if you're in a public place where you wouldn't normally sing it. You'd sing it in a Sunday service, but you wouldn't sing it out in a marae, perhaps. Anyway, thank you, Margaret, and that group for your contribution. Okay.
Yeah, it was nice to have 10 minutes. We had quite a reflective time. So we talked first about Matariki, and one of our members, Joan, was talking about having an evening on the next Friday, 2nd of July, I think she said, when they would do a period of storytelling and remembering, hoping that it will be a clear night. And I thought that was, and have some kai together. So that was lovely to hear about. In terms of pronunciation, we agreed that the macrons are the things that might trip us up from time to time. It was interesting to hear from Okiko that Japanese and Māori are very similar, so she's not having so much difficulty in terms of pronunciation, which was really interesting to us. We agreed, it's already been said, but we agreed that we found singing and chanting much easier to do. We also reflected on the sense that because there's more of a societal push at the moment in all different contexts, that those of us in largely Pākehā congregations are not getting the kind of resistance that we might have got some years ago. And certainly in my parish, that's my experience, that people are coming along very willingly, and that may not have been the case a few years ago. So that's really encouraging. We also talked about the spin-offs in terms of bumping into each other or recognizing each other as Māori co-journeyers as we bump into each other in other settings, and that's been lovely for us. So it's had all sorts of positive outcomes, this gathering that we have once a week. So thank you for that.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, Kay. What a great discussion. I'm so warm and fuzzy all over again that there is much more of an acceptance in our circles, and that's something certainly we can be most thankful to God for. Softening the heart, soften my heart. I often say that each week when I start to get this little sort of grit in my teeth, and I go, no, soften my heart, Lord, soften my heart. So I mean, I think that's fabulous. And yes, we are the whānau of Taha Māori. Woohoo! Actually, that's a good time for you fellas to stop in mid-step, you know, when you're passing each other, stop and go, okay, tell me this, say this in Te Reo Māori. There you go. There's a little test for you. Test each other as you pass each other or sit with each other in the pew. Thank you so much for that contribution. Gillian. Just need to unmute yourself. Okay.
Done. Sorry about that. I was pushing the wrong button. For us, it was pretty similar to what the other two groups had. It's challenging, but the more people say and repeat back is helping, and also writing down, write words down and then practice them. Practicing when no one can hear to build confidence. Nyasha was way ahead of all of us because, like Yukiko, Maori sounds like her language, so she's finding it relatively easy to pronounce, although she doesn't have great understanding, which is the case for most of us. But we all agree that the more we use it, the better our understanding will be. Listening to Maori TV to hear correct pronunciation, going to Maori websites, Google, I find is a great help. The use of te reo in services like the others, we all agreed that chanting helps people be more willing to say the words, and also it seems to be easier to chant than to actually read that. But by and large, most of us are attempting to introduce some te reo into services with less resistance. And I use that word rather than the word enthusiasm, less resistance to using it. And in our case, we have the Lord's Prayer in te reo 2 times a month. And the distinct preference is definitely for the chanted version. People are happy to listen to it and make a bit of an effort. Some of them, a few more, are making a bit of an effort to say or chant some of the words. So that was us.
Oh, that's great. Yes, thank you, Gillian. It's a shared feeling, isn't it, all around our ministry units and our parishes. And it's I guess, you know, some of that responsibility now rests on you, let's say, because you're just that little bit more further down the line than people that you're sitting with or dealing with or congregating with, etc., meeting with, and you can help manaki them. You know, and this was sort of something I said right at the very beginning, is that if they've got someone to manaki them, they'll travel the journey easier because they'll accept it easier because, oh, but aren't you our vicar? Oh, gosh, aren't you the liturgist at our church? And you're really, oh, gosh, okay, well, tell me a little bit more. So that's that manaki, that you've come down a track and you're building your confidence. Paralysis is no longer there. You're growing and growing and growing, particularly in your reo. But not only that, te ao Māori and some of the holistic thinking of Māori. And I thank you again and again and again. I'm going to share the screen again. I want us to, this is a good time for us to introduce a gentleman who lives in England. I won't say too much at the very beginning because it all unpacks itself during this footage. But it is a light from across the moana, and I think you'll probably enjoy this little coverage. Titiro mai.
He minita o mua o te hahi mihingare he Pākehā hoki a Barry Olsen. Engari kua akona ia I tō tātou reo. Ko tana mahi he whakamaori I ngā pūrongo niupepa o mua mai tōna kāinga rua o Ingarangi. Aha kua roa nei ia e noho ana ki tērā taha o te ao, I mua I tana wehenga atu I Aotearoa, I wai marea ia ki te ako I te reo mai ngā tohunga reo pēnei ia Timoti Karetu me Patu Hohepa. Kei ari peka timutumu, tēnei pūrongo.
I panuku, I paneke.
He whakapapa Pākehā, engari he ngā kau Māori.
Tērā te tai o te poti.
I tipu ake ia ki whanganui he oe nā tētahi haerenga I te awa, ka huri te aronga o Barry Olsen.
Two ladies were sitting on the veranda of the post office. And they said to Tungia and Pāhura, two of my friends from home, kei te pēhea kōrua, no hea kōrua. And Tungia and Pāhura, of course, were all whakamā, embarrassed, because they had to explain, we don't speak Māori.
I ako ia I te reo Māori I raro ia pe rana pia I te whare wānanga o Wikitoria. Ko e tehi o ona hoa I reira, ko Whetū Tirikātene Sullivan, me whatawiniata.
I should mention that Sam Karetu used to come along and give Beth a hand at those lessons. And then I went up and studied with Dr. Biggs and Patu Hohepa at Auckland University to do Māori studies too.
E noho ana ia ki Ingarangi I nāia nei he oe kua hono mai ona taha e rua ko te hāhi me te reo. I ona whakapākehatanga I te niupepa e kia nei ko te pipi whārauroa.
We pere was heard to murmur, Ina kua taia ki reira, ka tūtaki ia ki a hātana. It was a church paper and contained lots of church articles, as well as containing general articles. It went on for 180 issues, and I have just completed translating number 166.
Engari tērā hoki ngā uauatanga.
I've really got no one here that I can ring up and say, hey, what does this mean?
Maybe I'll get you Timoti Karetu's number, maybe you can give him a call.
Maybe I can, thank you.
Ko te whakapai hei te tau hou ka tō ai te rā ki ana mahi whakapākeha, ka whai huarahi hou ia e mau tonu ai tōna ārero Māori.
Ka tā koto te pai.
Rīpika tumutumu, te karere.
Yeah, there's a brave gentleman, something from the other end of the age scale. I promised you last week that I would introduce somebody who is an inspiration. Actually, not only to Pākehā, but to Māori. If you remember, he was sitting on the post office veranda and he heard those two queer saying that they didn't speak te reo Māori. So that is common. And I think he's a great advocate for someone who intentionally went out to get better at his reo Māori and has taken that to England with him and continues to use it there. Ngā mihi mahana ki aia, warmth to him, Barry Olsen. So I hope you enjoyed that as a little pick-me-up, a little inspiration for us all at that end of the age scale, let's say. There you go, something to shoot for. We've got, you know this one.
Toru wā, a haka mana para tawanga wā, heke mene pere te wenge whe, I hiki mini piri te wenge whe, O hoko mono poro tō ngofo A e I o u Uhuku munu puru tu ungufu Mangere tapu wai O ne hunga aorere O tahu papa toe toe Ihu matonga iwi tamaki makauro A haka mana para tawa ngā wha E heke mene pere te wenge whe I hiki mini piri ti wingi whi O hoko monu poro tō ngofo A e I o u Uhuku munu puru tu ungufu Mangere tapu wai o ne hunga aorere O tahu papa toe toe Ihu matonga iwi tamaki makaura Aka mana para tawa ngā wha E heke mene pere te wenge whe I hiki mini piri ti wingi whi O hoko mono poro tō ngofo A e I o u Uhuku munu puru tu ungufu
Good fun then. Okay, getting towards our session, but not without covering that next session of Te Hura Kōhatu on page 881 in your prayer books, the unveilings, the liturgies for the unveilings. And on page 881, these are the rubrics. So the service is normally conducted by a priest, but a duly authorised layperson may take the service. Now, in many uruha, certainly in the north, it's done by kaumātua. So they don't wait around for a priest. They would like a priest, but it's generally done by a layperson or kaumātua. I runga I te ingoa o te atua, te matua, te tama me te wairua tapu. You're familiar with that opening. Kua hanga muri a mua oku e koe. Kua pā mai ano tō ringa ki a hau. Ki te kake atu au ki te rami. Kei reira koe. Ki te whāriki tia e a hau. I'm just going to move something on my screen. Oops. Oh, sorry about that. Tōku moinga I roto I te rua. I've got a big box over that last bit on the end there. Perhaps I should open my prayer book. Oh, I roto I te rua tūpāpaku. Nā kei reira anō hoki. You are already familiar with this, e ho tuhinga mātou, and that's, so if you're chanting it, I don't know if you use this as the beginning of your Lord's Prayer, Inui a te ariki, you might sort of refer to, you know, the one that we have in our Eucharistic liturgies. Ko akona nei tātou e tō tātou ariki ka inui tāta. That's the most common one. But this is nice if you're chanting to use this. Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy, Lord have mercy. E hoa tulinga mātou, e te karaiti tohuinga mātou, e hoa tulinga mātou, e tō mātou matu I te rangi. It's another lovely way because it's interactive. Whereas the other one is only you are saying, ko akona nei tātou, whereas this one invites them to say, Christ, have mercy. E te atua kaharawa, nā tō mana, me tō aroha. I whakatapua ai, I tika ai ngā mea katoa. Kia aroha mai koe, a manaki tia mātou, tukua kia whakapūmau tia te mahi, a o mātou ringa ringa. Ko ihu karaiti hoki tō mātou ariki, āmine. And of course, you'll see on page 883, it does go on. There are more prayers there. I'm not going to say it all for you. I think you've come a long way in terms of your pronunciations. There's no word in this prayer that's tricky or new to you. And this one is when the veil is removed. So you know that Māori use korowai. And so the veil is removed, and then I runga I te whakapono I hukaraiti. Ka whakatapua e tātou tēnei kōhatu, o tohu whakamāharatanga memorial, we just say kōhatu. Hei whakamāharatanga ki tāna pononga ki a whoever it is. I runga I te ingoa, you're familiar with that. And so then the words can be read, and we usually invite a member of the family, whānau, to do that. This is the Hura Kōhatu of Taha Māori Reeves. Sir Paul Reeves, which was held in 2012 at St. John's College. I'm not sure if you've been there and seen it or whether some of you were there. And that is Archbishop Rowan Williams, who was the Archbishop of Canterbury at the time. And he did the unveiling. That is Taha Māori's daughter, Sarah. And she's just taken the korowai off. And underneath that is still another veil, and that's the Anglican Communion insignia. And someone from the whānau read the inscription. And now Rowan Williams moves on to continue with the blessing. So he probably went to the collect for All Saints Day. E te atua kaharawa. It's probably what he was saying there, I'd say. And then, of course, we normally sing a hymn. I'll do this straight off this kaupapa. You might already know it, but the music is there. So if you want to go back and, just pull out that section from the recording and take it to your organist, or if you play yourself, it goes like this. Koutou katoa me I tēnei, haere mai koutou ke whakaro, tēnei a ihu nāna te ki, haere mai kau hera, nei te hari tino hari mai, a te wā e tu tataki ai. Hui atu tātou rōpu katoa, runga te reo kine. And all it is, it's saying, all of us are gathered here today, and Ihu Karaiti is with us, and we join together in our joy at this time, and welcome. So you'll be able to Google that, the English translation on that, but that's the tune, commonly used at Tangi and Hura Kōhatu. And then, of course, we move to the closing. And you know this one, kia noho a ihua kia koutou, ma ihua koe e manaki, and the closing prayer. And you're already familiar with this. And so once again, the BCP. And again, if you will endure with me, this is in the Book of Common Prayer. It's still hymn number 171 in today's Himene book. You'll note the rubrics on here at the top. Mā te Māori a te atua e kore nei, e taia, te whakaro, e tiaki o koutou ngākau, o koutou hinengaro, I roto I a karaiti ihu. That's on page 545 in our prayer book. And it's the sending out, it's a blessing. So it's on the same page as, I'll go to it. You know, the peace of God which passes all understanding. On page 544, it's on that page. And so since then and now, there's been just that little added bit on the end of the blessing in our prayer book. I couldn't find a recording of this. The only recording available is a Rātana version, and the Rātana altered the kupu, the words in it to reflect their faith. So I'll sing it for you briefly. Mā te Māori a te atua, tātou katoa e tiaki, mana ano e whakau, o tātou ngākau ki te pai. And it's exactly the same in the second verse. And I just want to point out to you that 172, and this is the BCP, 1905, it's got the grace, kia tau kia koutou katoa te ata whai, o te āriki o Ihu Karaiti, me te aroha o te atua me te whiwhinga tahitanga ki te wairua tapu. Āmene. It is slightly different to what we have in our prayer book today and what we will be using today. And the interesting thing is that kia tau kia koutou katoa, koutou means you. So that's like a blessing, you know, that when you bless everyone else. But what we've done in the prayer book is we've included the priest or included the person who's giving the blessing. Kia tau, kia tātou. Tātou includes that person talking. So that's just an interesting fact for you. And that's essentially ends the Hura Kōhatu, the unveilings. So it's not really difficult. I think you'll be able to follow it quite easily in the pre-book. Just keep practicing those two himine, stock standard stuff. You can learn them. You can go to YouTube and listen to Te Māori for the tune, but they do have different words to mihinare, to te hahi mihinare. We've run out of time, really, so I was going to take us through the book, Te Awa Rerenga Maha, but we have actually run out of time, and I won't be able to do that with any great giving it any great mana, if you like. So we'll just move on. Let me just move on from that one. The other one I promised I would do with you is to chant this. It's not chanted very often, not even in Māori churches. It's not done very often. They prefer to default to the Apostles' Creed. But this one, of course, is, it's on page 496. Oh, sorry, this is the Apostles' Creed. They prefer to go back to he tikanga whakapono, affirmation of faith. So this one, I'll just chant it for you. E whakapono ana mātou ki te atua ki te matua kaharawa koia te kaihanga o te rangi o te whenua ki tāna tama ko tahi anō hoki ki tō tātou ariki kia ihu karaiti. I whakatangata tia nei e te wairua tapu I whānau I te puhi I a meri I whakamamai tia I te waia pono tio pirato I ripekatia I mate I tanumia I heke atu ki te reinga no te toru o ngā rā I ara kea kake atu ana ki te rangi e noho mai nei I te ringa ringa mata o te atua o te matua kaharawa. Ka hoki mai anō I reira ki te whakarite whakawa mō ngā tāngata ora mō ngā tāngata mate. E whakapono ana tātou. Oh, I've got a big box over the words. Aroha mai. Ki te hahi tapu puta no I te ao, ki te kotahitanga o te hunga tapu, ki te murunga hara, ki te aranga mai o te tinana me te ora tonu. Āmine. Now that really wasn't a very good version. What I'll do is I'll record it. And I'll put the slide all on its own, and we'll upload the slide all on its own when I've got all my equipment running properly. But that's how it's chanted, and it's beautiful. They use it at Matariki, if they're going to do it at Matariki, and they use it at what they call a mōtetea. Mōtetea is a chant, and so you've heard me go Gamo. Titiro inga iwi te kapu takuringa he taonga tēnei nā tupuna he poi, he poi, he poi, hey. And that's the canticle on page 154. So it has the same dynamic sort of presence because it's from our prayer book. And this is an affirmation, Apostles' Creed. So I'll pre-record it for you and we'll load it up so that you can have a listen. Pou hi hiri pou rā rama pou o te whakaro, pou e te tangata, pou o te aroha, te pou e here nei a tātou, mauri ora ki a tātou, haumi e, hui e, tae ki e. It's a nice one to learn. E te atua o te moana nui a ki. Me e nei motu, o te iwi Māori, te iwi Pākehā. Me rātou katoa e noho nei I tēnei wāhi. Ka whakamoimiti, ka whakawhetai ki a koe mō tēnei whenua o mātou. Mō ngā mea pai katoa, ko whiwhi tahi nei mātou, whakanui a tō mātou aroha, tētahi ki tētahi. Whakakahangia tō mātou whai I te tika. Kia ko tahi ai mātou I runga I te whakaro ko tahi. Ko hanga mātou e koe hei toto ko tahi I raro I tēnei whakaro ko tahi. Āmine. This is you, Prince, if you're... Yep.
Yes. Kia tau kia tātou katoa. Te ata whai o tō tātou arikia e hukaraiti. Me te aroha o te atua. Me te whiwhingia tahitanga. Ki te whairua tapo. Ake, ake, ake. Āmine.
Āmine. That's it. I won't go on. More volunteers, of course, for next week. This might put a little bit of a nerve in you. It might make you a little bit nervous. We have a special guest next week, one you all know. Āti Pihopa Rawiri Moxon. Archbishop David Moxon will be joining us. It'll be an interview live talking about Māori Pākehā reconciliation. So that promises to be a very special insight into his own personal experiences and of course, you know, certainly as Archbishop in the province for all those years. And there'll be a chance also for you to ask him some questions. So it'll be an open plenary for you. I think that'll be a great opportunity to hear him talk again. 2011, he did a delivery in Tauranga around Māori Pākehā reconciliations, and now he'll give us an update, let's say, on how that's going. So that's something to look forward to next Thursday. Āti Pihopa, Emeritus, David Moxon. So noho ora mai, everybody. Again, my apologies for all the technical problems, echoing and everything. We'll iron that out for next week. Well, we'll have to. And kia taute rangi Māori e kia koutou. Peace be with you all. You can hang around if you wish.